Good afternoon. My name is Jason Lonzak, and today I'm going to go over proper fuel system troubleshooting for fuel pump on a 2006 Chevrolet Colorado. So what you see in front of you is the wiring schematic, which I have already taken the lengths of highlighting all of the paths of how it operates and flows. Today we're going to be discussing mainly the fuel pump. So you start up here at the underhood fuse block. You have a fuel pump relay, and you have a fuse that is a 15 amp fuse. So if I'm tracing where the power goes, because this is hot at all times up here, path of power goes all the way down to the fuel pump, and then it's grounded right through here onto the frame of the vehicle. So whenever at pin 30 and pin 87, whenever the power is turned on, the ignition's turned on, it'll close the switch which provides power to the fuel pump. You'll hear the fuel pump kick on which for about 3 seconds, and then that completes the circuit, and that's how at the very beginning it'll start. So if it's operating properly, that's how it should happen. Now to the vehicle to do the simple initial fuel pump operational check. You're going to turn on the key and listen for the fuel pump. You should hear it for about 2 or 3 seconds, and it's as simple as that. So we're going to do the initial bench test on a 4-pin fuel pump relay. Kind of hard to see. I don't know if my phone will focus. On pins 30 and 87. And all you're doing is you're listening for a click.
So where does this one go? Okay, so what you need to do first is we need to look at the diagram and see where pin 30 goes. And you'll need to do the same on the other side.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Sorry, video. There's the click. You can hear it clicking. All right. It's important to do the bench test on a relay, so you have a good, properly working relay. Because I've actually had this happen in a vehicle before where my fuel pump relay was bad and the car wouldn't start. And at the time, I didn't know how to properly test it. In order to properly test, I've already got it hooked up here. Fuel sending unit. If you look deep in there, and you can get this off the schematic as well, you're going to hook it up from the red wire on the second from the left, and the black or the ground onto the furthest one to the right. And it's going to give you a reading. That's how you're going to test the sending unit. Now, in order to do this, you have to have the fuel pump out of the vehicle on this specific vehicle. Some vehicles you don't, but most all of them, the fuel pumps are inside, so it requires a little bit of work to get there. But in a nutshell, that's how you would check the unit, the fuel sending unit. So, moving back to the diagram, if I'm checking for power to the fuel pump relay, I'm going to be checking in this specific vehicle. I'm going to be checking the gray wire coming from the fuse pump relay or the underhood fuse block down to the fuel pump. So you would check there, and then you would find a ground. So if I had the ground here, I could use this ground, or just kind of ground it anywhere, and that's where I'm going to be checking for any type of power and making sure that I have source voltage, or if there's something amiss going on in that system. And that's how I would use the DMM in order to do that. Like I said, you would hook it up here and ground it. So that's how I would do that. So I already got this hooked up. It takes a little bit of time, and in order to use the fuel pressure gauge to check fuel pressure, you find on the fuel rail, you find the it looks like a valve stem, but I forgot what it's called at the moment. But you have a special attachment goes there, and you move this and you hook this up, which runs up to here. And that is how you would hook it up. Very simple, very quick process. So, like what we did in the case of this vehicle is we already looked it up in the book. It tells us what the PSI should be. And then all you do is you come over, start the vehicle. And you look up here at the gauge and it'll tell you what the PSI is at, and you let it run, do whatever test you got to do. You want to make sure that you always have your safety equipment on, glasses. I prefer using gloves. Check for leaks around the fuel rails, around where you have it plugged in. Make sure it's not leaking fuel all over the place. Make sure there's not fuel leaking out of here. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. If you want to check how much fuel you have coming out per every 15 seconds per the manufacturer's recommendation, you have a purge valve here, and you can put this hand into a cup or a bottle or something. You depress this, and it'll allow fuel to flow in there. And that's also how you shut the system off. You can relieve pressure out of the system. And that's all. It's rolling. All right, so in order to check, do the relay check across the board, you have this special tool here. You hook the relay up to, allows you to test the voltage coming from the relay. So you're going to hook it up on 87 and 30, and it should give you between 30 and 40 millivolts is what we have here, which means it's operating properly. You want to check about voltage across the coil, hook it up to 85 and 86, and you should have source voltage, or most of the voltage should be going to it. So this is also operating correctly. The reason why we do this with this test is because it allows us to test it while the relay's still in there to be able to determine if it's functioning properly. And that's it.